Okay.
Oh, you got graphics and everything, huh?
Well, no, that's
That,
just OBS. So I learned all of this from a friend of mine named Abon Kim, and I would not. Wait, what's my warning here? I just had a warning flash up from Twitter. I think it's connecting. I wouldn't know how to do any of this if it weren't for his help. So it's once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy, but it's really confusing at first. Okay, so we're live on Twitter now.
yeah,
Um,
this is the first time I'm live on Twitter.
Oh, cool. Okay. I much prefer Twitter. Like
I
I
do.
I started doing
Oh,
it actually during the debate. I think it was like a CNN debate between Hillary and Bernie, and I wanted to join. And people were tweeting like comments during the actual debate, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome because it's real time. It's right
yep.
now." And so that's how I got started doing it. And I just kind of noticed the other day that I have like 12.7 thousand tweets. So that's how much I've been tweeting. So anyway, I think it's a better way to just like quickly share an article and a short comment or whatever rather than all the sort of stuff that ensues on Facebook. But anyway, okay, so we'll get
Twitter's
to
more
it.
community friendly. I noticed that. All right,
Mm-hmm.
but I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. My name is Kelley Lane. If you've ever seen me on video before, it's probably with CFAR, which is Contract for American Renewal, and that is signing up progressive candidates that will actually represent the people in the spirit of Bernie, honestly.
Hmm.
So, and I'm a journalist. Had a couple articles published in a publication in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm in Chapel Hill now, but I went to college at UNCA, and I had an article published on dangers of lead poisoning from lead paint, actually, not lead in the water, but that's something you don't hear a lot of right now. It's all about the water, but there's also a huge problem with lead paint exposure. Any house like built before 1980 probably has it, and it's a danger. So, and then I just always been a fan of Bernie, honestly, way before the primaries. I used to see him all the time on Bill Maher, which I reluctantly admit I used to be a Bill Maher fan. But I loved it when
We
Bernie
all
came.
did.
Yeah, I loved it when Bernie came on though because he was like the truth teller. And so I
Yep.
always liked him and knew enough about him to know that I was immediately on board when he started his run for the nomination, which we know how that went.
Yeah. So my first question for you is, what was the biggest issue that voters had in North Carolina?
Well, I was thinking about this earlier, and I was actually in Asheville during the primary. I wasn't where I am now in Chapel Hill, but I don't know of any specific things that occurred. Like I watched everywhere, Arizona, New York, the booting off the rolls, and all. I don't specifically know of anything in North Carolina, so I wondered if you had anything in your rigged series because I don't
Oh
remember
no.
any particular. I want to say there was something, maybe some calls that came in from Durham or something, but I don't remember that. I would say the biggest thing about North Carolina was a lot of the stuff that Nico House was reporting on, which was what was going on the ground as he was working in the Bernie campaign, and seemed like there was some sabotage going on, and maybe some people that had signed up for Bernie's campaign that weren't really for Bernie. So I learned about that through his videos in his car, and but I didn't connect with him, back then. So I would say for North Carolina, the biggest issues were really the fact that it's a very purple state. It's we've got these liberal pockets, and the rest of it is pretty red. So, I was not shocked at all that Hillary lost. It was anytime you drive between Chapel Hill and Asheville, it was, wallpapered with Trump signs. I mean, it was glaringly obvious to me. So, I mean, especially after Bernie lost, I
Yeah.
think it was pretty clear that Hillary was not going to be president. So,
Yeah.
so that's what I'd say about North Carolina. Oh, I know. Can I share this map? I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to see it very well, but I'll link it at some point to URL. It's from the LA Times, but I love this map, and the reason is it is the places in the U.S. Who gives money to Bernie Sanders. So,
Oh, yes. Yes. Now I can see it. Yes.
I find this incredibly interesting, and let's see.
Wow, Michigan. Yes, my state.
Well, I'm from there, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do.
originally. I can't really see this backwards, but if you can figure out where North Carolina is on here, there's a very dark spot, which means high donations, right in the zip code where I am now, which I'm just on the like tail end of Franklin Street, which is UNC. It's technically Carborough, but anyway, the reason I think this is so interesting is because, you know, we heard so much about where that divide was in the Democratic voters between Hillary and Bernie. You know, we kept hearing 45 and under, 45 and under. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Was for Bernie. Which was funny because I was 45 during the primary, so I was like right on that line, you know. And I have a theory on why that is. But also it's about personal wealth, your income, your economic status. So I thought it was very interesting to see what places gave the most money to Bernie, because I think that says a lot about just people's attitudes towards some of the, we'll say, liberal elite kind of had this attitude that Bernie, you know, I think Bernie was for the lower classes only, you know, and I don't know if that's so obvious if you don't live in a kind of liberal pocket like where I live, but I'm sure there are plenty of places like that where that was a big factor. And it was almost like it was just this kind of liberal elite attitude, and that was that divide, I think, also between the two of them. So
yeah.
So
my question for you is, well, why don't you tell us a little bit about Chapel Hill?
Well, it's funny. I always find myself at odds with where I live. I lived for about 4 years in a very rural town in Georgia where I met my husband, which was very much Trump land. So I was submersed. I mean, this was back in the 90s, but I mean, that was what I was immersed in. And I obviously felt very at odds with that. And now here I am in Chapel Hill, and this is not a very awake place. It's very liberal. It's, you know, pretty much like 70% blue, 70 plus. But Asheville would be more, I'm sure that more people went for Jill Stein and refused to fall in line in Asheville. It's just kind of the flavor of it. So I would say that if I were to say anything about some of the topics I discuss online with like neighbors or the PTA, they would think I'm insane. I think pretty sure I've gotten some glares for the WikiLeaks stickers on my car. But they're pretty much just they're MSNBC viewers, and I think they mean well. They are for, you know, well, you know, they say they're for certain things, you know, all the liberal stuff you're supposed to be for. But it's
They're whoever the media tells them to be who for.
Yeah, and it's been really difficult to deal with. Like, I had a friend that I had a falling out with. She was a liberal, very liberal attorney, and we were at a Christmas party, and there was a UNC communications professor there, and he did not know that he had Edward Snowden and Julian Assange like they were the same person. This was in December of 2016.
Oh man.
But I don't know how you explain that, you know,
That isn't one person.
I didn't want to really get in an argument at someone's Christmas party, but, you know, I would say, well, they brought it up because they're very political. How about, you know, check out Glenn Greenwald, read some Intercept. Who?
Oh, there you go.
But they had no idea. And I don't know, we kind of...
Do you not know who Glenn Greenwald is right now?
Well, maybe, I'm sure now they do. But yeah, so that was one time I decided to debate. And we had an argument and haven't really talked that much since then. Because there's just not... I find it extremely frustrating. Now it seems like the MSNBC brainwashed people are like how it used to be talking to the Fox News viewers before. It's an instant argument. It's an instant, like, turn to personal attacks. It's just crazy. So I just pretty much keep my mouth shut where I am right now. So I hope they wake up, but I don't know. Educated people, they should realize what they're watching on TV is not the real deal.
Yeah, it's like watching entertainment. I'm being told that I have 10% battery life.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
We're gonna kind of skip to this
sure, go ahead.
Fifth one, but we already got a lot of good stuff though from you. So yeah, this has been really great, and we will do another one too because I like with you and stuff. 5. What are solutions on how we can prevent election fraud and how we can reform our elections?
I think number one right now is paper ballots. I mean, it's just a must. And we had Ray Lutz come on and talk about what's going on in California, and how he's just trying to get access to see these early mail-in ballots that were literally the reverse, like 60-40, Hillary, when all later was all flipped the other way. So I think we have to have paper ballots and public audits of elections. And I think some people need to wake up and realize that it was a whole lot of internal meddling. You know all the different instances in Arizona and Brooklyn, but it's amazing how many people still don't know. And they talk about election integrity in the framework of we need to protect our systems from the Putin hacks. And when you try to tell people that hasn't been proven yet, they just kind of give you the, look.
Yeah. They don't understand.
Ultimately, though, if those people, I kind of think it's kind of funny. It's almost like the Democratic Party is having that whole narrative backfire on them, because now all of a sudden everyone's looking at our voting machines and everything because it's Putin. They're scared of he's going to hack it. But in the long run, it may end up being good because we may have some changes. And maybe we won't have, the Broward County election official trash the ballots after Tim Canova his lawyer requested them. And that's
true. I got to cover that too. Yeah, there's so much I got to cover. But thank you so much. Yeah. I don't know how to end this stream.
Oh, that's okay. I'll do it. It was great to talk to you again. And
yep, we'll definitely have to do this again.
Your
part
videos
2.
are great. Good job. Keep it up.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, talk to you soon.